So now we're going to look at finding the area of shapes. So area just means the amount of flat space that something takes up. Another way you could think of flat space is two-dimensional space. And for example, we're finding how much space either one of these rectangles take up. And how we figure that out is by splitting them both up into squares and then counting the number of squares. That's how we figure out area. So for example, with this, there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. So the area equals 6. And with this one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. And there's 1, 2, 3, there's 3 loads of 5 squares. So all up, we're talking 15 squares. So the area actually equals 15. Now the area of a square is base times height. But because the height and the base are the same amount, we can just say that the area of a square is base squared. So in this case, the area of this would be 5 squared, and 5 squared, of course, gives us 25. And yes, that's where squared gets its name from. The area of a rectangle is base times height. So here the base would be 10, because these two would be the same amount of length. So the area of this is 10 times height, which is 3, which gives us an area of 30. Now a parallelogram is also base times height. So here we find that the area equals 10 times 3, which gives us 30. And the reason for this is this little triangular bit here. And if we move this all the way over here, we'll find what we've created now is a perfect rectangle where the base is 10 and the height is 3. So of course this would be 10 times 3, which equals 30. And parallelogram just means two pairs of sides which are parallel. So we can see that this side is parallel with this side, and this side is parallel with this side. Now the area of a trapezium is half a plus b times height. Now what we mean by a and b, well the base would be this, and the a is like the base at the top, kind of. So to find the area of this, it would be half times a, which is 3, plus b, which is 4, times the height, which is 2. So 3 plus 4 is 7, times 2 is 14, and half of that gives us 7. And a trapezium here just means the top and the bottom are parallel. So this and this are going in the same direction, but they have different lengths. So this is obviously, this one's longer than this one. Now the area of a triangle is half base times height. And the reason for this is we can see this rectangle here, the area would be 30, but a triangle is basically just a rectangle split into 2. So if we wanted to find the area of this triangle here, it would just be half of the area of the rectangle, which is half times 3 times 10, which gives us 3 times 10 is 30, divided by 2 gives us 15. So this would be 15 and this would be 15. And it works for any triangle as well. So here we've got a height which is 3 and a base which is 10. So the area is half times base, which is 10 times 3. 10 times 3 is 30. Half of that is 15. Now the area of a rhombus is also half base times height. And if we look at what a rhombus is it's basically just two triangles. There's one triangle and there's another triangle. And here the height is 4 and the base is 6. Now if we could split this up, that would be a height of 2. So the area of this triangle would be half times base, which is 6, times height, which is 2. 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So the area of this thing is 6. And because this triangle is the same triangle as well, this would be 6. So the total area is 6 times 2, which gives us 12. Now, instead of finding the area of each triangle, what we can do is just find the half times the base, which is 6, times height. So we can just find the area to equal half times base, which is 6, times height, which is 4, because this is the whole height. And this gives us 6 times 4, which is 24, and half of that is 12. So yes, that gives us the same thing. Now this is the area of a rhombus, and a rhombus is something where all sides are the same size. But it also works with a kite, and this thing here is a kite, and I'm not going to prove to you again the two triangle idea because you can see the two triangles. So instead let's just use this formula here, which is half base times height. So half times base, which again is 6, times height, which is 4. 6 times 4 is 24, and half of that is 12. So that's the area done. And a kite just has 2 pairs of sides which are the same size. So this and this are the same size, and this are the same size. Now the area of a circle is pi r squared. So if we want to figure out the area of this circle, by r we mean radius, which is the length from the middle all the way to the end. So this is r. And so area equals pi times r squared. In this case, r equals 3, which gives us pi times 9. And if we put that in our calculator, we get something like 28.27. Now here's the question, why is pi r squared the formula? Well, in order to answer that, we've chucked the circle inside of a big square where the circle touches all the sides. Now, what we're going to do is find the area of this square. So the area of this square, as you can see, the radius here is 3. And so that means each side of this square is actually 3 as well. So if we wanted to calculate the area of this square, it's actually 3 squared. And of course, this is the same square, so this is 3 squared, this is 3 squared, and this is 3 squared as well. So how many 3 squareds do we have? Well, we have 4. So the area of this big square is 4 times 3 squared. Now, have you noticed how this and this are quite similar? Now, if we look at the circle, we can see the circle has some gaps in here, there and there and there and there. So it's not quite 4 times the 3 squared. In fact, it's about 3 times the 3 squared. In fact, it's exactly pi times 3 squared, and pi equals 3.14. So that's why we've got pi times 3 squared. So that gives us the area of a circle. So if that didn't make sense to you, that's fine. All you need to remember is that the formula is pi r squared, and that will give you the area of a circle. All right, so let's have a summary of all these shapes. I'm going to use the same letters that are used in most textbooks so that you can see what it actually is. So with a square, usually they say the formula is L squared, and L stands for length. So in this case, the length equals 5. So it's 5 squared, which equals 25. That's your area. For a rectangle, it's base times height, and the base is 10 times the height 3, so the area would be 30. The area of a parallelogram is also base times height, so the base equals 10, because these sides are the same size, times height, which is 3, so that's also 30. Now the area of this thing is a plus b, so a plus b times height times half. So the area is half times 5 plus 3 times 2, which gives us 8. The area of a triangle is half base times height, so the base is 5 and the height is 4. So half times 5 times 4 gives us 10. Now, both a rhombus and a kite have the same formula. Now you notice instead of base and height here, we have x and y, because technically this is not a base and this is not a height. So this thing here along here is going to be our x, and this is going to be our y. So half times 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12, half of that is 6. Same deal with this. 4 times 3, and half of that is 6. And finally, for a circle, pi r squared, here the radius equals 3, so it would be pi times 3 squared, which gives us approximately 28.27. So I hope this helps. There's heaps more resources at MathsMethods.com.au. If you have any questions about this video, you can always just type a comment below. And best of luck. I really hope this helped. Do well.